Day 4, Mexico against Germany, the defending world champions. It was a game that many looked forward to. Both teams were well supported, lots of colour in the stadium in Moscow. Germany were looking to be only the second team to defend the trophy since Brazil achieved it in 1962. Germany had been in 6 consecutive semi-finals from 2006 until 2014. 3 appearances at the World Cup and 3 in the Euros. Germany had an exemplary record, 100% record in the qualifiers. Only the second time it has been achieved. The first time it was Spain. They scored 43 goals, conceded 4. They had about 20 different goal scorers, and the feat was matched by Belgium, 43 goals. It was exceptional in a group that contained Northern Ireland, the Czech Republic. 2. Germany had recently been on a pretty bad run. They hadn't won in 9 months until they recently struggled to beat Saudi Arabia, like 2-1. And yeah, so Germany have never lost an opening game as defending champions. They hadn't lost. They last lost a group game, an opening group game in the 1982 World Cup in Spain when they lost to Algeria, 2-1. The side managed, as it has been for the last 12 years, by Joachim Löw, a very experienced campaigner indeed. He actually sent a B team out to the Confederations Cup last year in Russia, 2017, and they were triumphant. It was quite remarkable that they could leave most of their senior players and still be victorious. The big news in terms of the players was that Leroy Sané, who has been mercurial for Manchester City all season, was dropped for the squad. It proved that spirit was more important than, in the German camp, was more important than individual talents of the team. We had Thomas Müller, scorer of 10 goals, that was looking to further add to his tally and reach close to all-time goal scorer. Manuel Neuer had only played 4 games this season. He'd been coming back from an injury he sustained earlier in the season, or was it towards the end of last season. Germany, I think they were starting with about 6 of the team that started the final against Argentina 4 years ago. Khedira, who would have been the 7th, had got injured during the warm-up. Werner, there was a lot expected of him. He'd scored 8 goals in 14 games. He'd scored 21 goals this season for Leipzig in the German league. So yeah, they had the oldest starting German lineup for Germany for a very long time. So they were a very experienced team. Going to Mexico, they performed fantastically in their CONCACAF region. They had topped their section for the first time in about 20 years. They scored 29 goals and got a total of 21 points. They historically won for the first time ever competitively in the United States, Ohio. They won the game 2-1, and it was a momentous moment for all Mexicans. The team had been together since the under-17s, so they were very familiar, a well-knit team group, and a lot was expected from this current crop, this current generation, which were very, 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 very talented indeed. Mexico had been unbeaten since the '94 World Cup opening defeat to Norway in the America World Cup of '94. Mexico had reached the knockout stages consecutively for 7 consecutive occasions since they hosted the tournament in 86. They were disqualified in 90 for field and ineligible player, but they've reached the second round for each and every tournament since then. They've only defeated Germany once in a friendly in 1985. The coach under Osorio is a very changeable. They play in various with using various different systems, and they play very aggressively, and there's a lot in regards to. They beat Germany once, but in tournaments they've lost. They lost in 1986 on penalties to Germany in their home country. They lost 6-0 many years before that, and in 1998 they were leading 1-0, and they found themselves undone in the second round confrontation with the Germans. I think it was Klinsmann and Bierhoff may have been the goal scorers in that game. They've lost only 2 of 17 games, so they come in to this game in very high spirits, and so it's where everything was. But in terms of their players, there at least 4 players that were here that had 90 caps or more. 4 starters that were starting today. They had Javier Hernandez, who had appeared 102 times. He was just one short of 50 goals, so there's lots of expected of him. He'd endured a very poor season in England with West Ham, but to the game it got off to Mexico were pretty adventurous. I mean, a crucial block from Boateng within a minute denied Lozano a strike on goal, and the Mexicans were really off the mark and playing with a high intensity. Werner responded after running in from behind, and it was just slightly wide. He just drove the ball slightly wide. It was definitely a wide open start. Herrera's drive on goal saved in response on 15 minutes. Salcedo fortunately almost scored an own goal. He didn't know too much about it, but it came off his leg, and it just, fortunately for himself, it went wide. The speed of the Mexicans was definitely troubling the Germans. There was lots of space in midfield. The pace was frantic, and only a slip from Hernandez, close in on goal, denied the opportunity of a strike on goal. It was Werner again at the other end for Germany, failing to pick out Draxler, who in the better position. The shot was pretty tame, and Draxler wasn't too pleased with his teammate. The counter-attacking for the Mexicans was really now troubling the Germans. They playing 3 strikers upfield at all times. They was always looking to foray forward, and then they were definitely playing without fear. And this caught the Germans seemingly outnumbered in midfield and always left just seemingly always a man short in the centre of the midfield. And then once again, the Germans were cut open, and through Veller's pass cut open the Germans, but Tajun's touch away from making an all-important touch. But then again, it didn't matter, because the dominant Mexicans, finally, brave and courageous, made their breakthrough. On 35 minutes, Lozano crashing the ball, cutting in and crashing the ball inside the near post after Fernandez had made the incisive pass. Germany stunned, and they just didn't expect this to happen to them. Kroos, Germany's best player and Germany's most important player, responded. His free kick thundering off the Mexican crossbar. A fantastic touch from Ochoa, which fingertips Ochoa, playing in his 4th World Cup, was able to just touch it over the bar. Villa threatened as the half closed. Swift attack, leaving Germany exposed again. It wasn't how the script was supposed to go. Mexicans were too tactically astute, too quick for Germany. Midfield, as mentioned, they were always outnumbered. Kimmich was exposed on the left as Mexico found great joy on the left-hand side, the right hand for Kimmich, who was the right back. Mexico were continued in positive spirits into the second half. Nothing as yet as produced. Germany, Germany continued in a similar vein. It was still the intensity, the pace, and energy shown by the Mexicans was still continued into this period. And the final ball, unfortunately, was letting the Mexicans down. Like too often, there was an opportunity to Hernandez when he should have gone by himself in the situation of two forwards to the one defender, but he made the pass, which was inaccurate, and the chance was lost. And suddenly, Vela was replaced as Mexico seemed to take a change in their tactics. Khedira was also replaced as Germany looked to exert more pressure on the Mexicans. Then suddenly the Mexicans found themselves encamped on the edge of their box as Germans' pressure was relentless. An overhead kick from Kimmich spun marginally over the bar, and it was really getting intense there. And Werner then was unable to direct his close range header. His close range shot on target, and it was all Germany, and Mexico was actually looking pretty shattered with about 20 minutes to go. Salcedo then swept the ball as danger loomed. Sitting deeper, Mexico were really up against it now. Germans probed, like Cruz, he drove right. Drexler's shot was deflected, close in. Mexicans were fighting for their lives, but to June, he broke out, and swiftly, and his effort wasn't, and he drove way over when he should have perhaps done better. The last throw of the dice with Mario Gomez was thrown on, a goal scorer of 31 goals in 75 outings. He was brought on. It was Tejun again for Mexico, free on the right, whose shot was dragged wide once again. It should have been 2-0. Frustrations evident for the Germans as Hummels and Müller will receive yellow cards for infringements. The desperation was there for all to see. Brandt was thrown on as Gomez's header was headed off the target. It was a fine cross, but he should have done better. Then it was Brandt again with a snapshot that shaved the post, a ferocious effort, and everybody thought it was in. Mexico looked shattered as 3 minutes was played into as the game went into 3 minutes of stoppage time. But their efforts, they weren't to be denied, and they fully deserved an historic win. It was their first competitive win over Germany in this exhilarating counter-attacking performance, and it could have been 2 or 3-0. I mean, it was an immaculate performance. The Germans tactically seemed to have got it wrong and underestimated their opponents, and but they'd have to really fix up and make sure that there were no mistakes against Sweden. As for Mexico, they were well on their way, and they they just shocked the world, and they were fully enjoying the occasion world over, and I'm sure in Mexico City.